This is a really quick overview of the Web 2.0 evaluation tool that Rebecca Davies and myself, Kenji Takahashi, have developed. It's broken down into 6 criteria, and the 6 are quickly just the curriculum goals. And we're actually starting off with, before we even look at technology, we want to know what we want to teach students first. What do we want them to learn? And from the curriculum goals, we then quickly move over to the pedagogy. So how are we going to teach them? How are we going to engage our students in this? And it is then that we start getting into the third criteria, which is the tool itself. And in this case, we're looking at Web 2.0 tools. So we want to start looking at the nature of those tools and how can it support and begin to support what we want to do in the classroom with our students. Again, acknowledging the fact that this is about, the curriculum and good teaching practice and instruction, and how can these tools help us out? Is it age appropriate? Are we going to have the opportunity to try to support students in navigating a new technology or a new platform? And that makes up our third criteria. Administrative rights are surrounding the tools and the accessibility that a teacher has to customize the Web 2.0 experience for our students, and to be able to manipulate that and customize that so it best meets the needs of our class, and also for the task that we want to engage our class in using this tool. The fifth criteria is about really the students' author rights and whether we are looking at having our students create a document or create a graphic or even just simply accessing content. What kinds of tools or permissions do these students have to, again, take control and take ownership of this learning environment within the Web 2.0 tool? The sixth one is really about the hardware and infrastructure, and this is all the background supports that go into supporting a Web 2.0 tool, and this includes everything from the number of outlets that you have to charge and support electronic devices, to internet connectivity, to space and security in terms of what do you do with the devices when you're using them, and what are you going to do with the devices when you're not using them. And this really makes up the 6 criteria for our Web 2.0 evaluation tool. Now, if we take this tool and use it to, say, look at a Web 2.0 application, like take a look at Google Docs, for example. Before we even get to Google Docs, what we need to actually look at first is the curriculum and what we want to do and what we want to have students learn. And criteria 1 is all about this. And so if I'm a science teacher, and this is the overall expectation for science teachers in Ontario teaching grade 11 science, we can focus in on this A1 overall expectation, demonstrating scientific investigation skills, and to have them get exposure and an opportunity to look at initiating, planning, performing and recording, analyzing and interpreting and communicating. And if that is my objective, my learning objective for my students, well, what's the pedagogy? How am I going to do that? Well, I want to have an opportunity for the students to keep an ongoing record. And looking at criteria number 2 now, I want them to be able to have this record so that they can look back on it, reflect on it, but also to be able to share this document or this learning document with their peers and offer each other feedback. Third, I also want this to be a way for me to offer formative feedback to my students as they engage in this learning process as well. So that's the pedagogy. That's how I want to approach this. That's how I want to engage these students in the learning expectation that I've set up for myself. The third one now starts getting into, the third criteria starts getting into the actual tool itself. And if we're looking at Google Docs, I can see that this is going to allow students to create documents online. They can share those documents, share a spreadsheet, upload photos and videos, and then quickly share those documents, folders, and media with their classmates and with me. And likewise, I can do the same thing back. So looking at how is this going to work in a classroom, well, I'm going to have to perhaps go into this a little bit and make sure students understand how to navigate and work the tools inside of this particular platform. But also, too, this gives me a chance to get into other larger topics such as digital citizenship and what it means to be responsible online. What are the benefits of cloud storage, but also what are the potential risks of um, keeping your documents online? That's criteria 3. Criteria 4 really is about the teacher. And for me, the teacher, with the rights that I have, how can I customize this so that I am creating a learning environment that best supports the needs and the learning objectives that I have for my science class? Well, like I said, this is really about students having a chance to work online so that they can keep this live document, that they can continue to update and revise. They can share it with their peers. And of course, that allows me to also view it so I can also share feedback with them. And so that means that I would have the ability, using the Google Docs, to create new folders and to be able to share that folder with my class. And in this folder, I can put templates, and maybe these are templates that they would then use as a way for them to start documenting their learning. Likewise, as for students, I can also create individual folders for the students and make sure that that is my way of getting work to them and they can get work back to me. And these are the kinds of administrative tools and access that I have to be able to create this learning environment that, again, through this Web 2.0 tool, will help to not just replace what I would do in a classroom, but to elevate these tasks that I would normally do in a classroom. The fifth criteria is the same type of idea, but now we're looking at it from the student's perspective. And like I said before, what I really like about this Google Drive is that with the creation of a new document, as the student, they would have access to a variety of tools that they would normally see in a word processor, including different types of fonts, the ability to share the document, share it with me, collaborate collectively on one document together. And these are all things that would be very, very useful in the way that I would like to use this particular Web 2.0 resource in my classroom. And the sixth and final criteria for this Web 2.0 tool is really around the infrastructure and the supporting hardware. And like I said, this is all done online. So we're going to want to make sure that we've got a fairly strong and robust connectivity to the internet. And that would be not only just how well it responds, but how does it respond when you have 25, 30 students all pulling and pushing data onto the network. Not only that, what kind of devices am I going to use? Am I going to have to go to a bring your own device? Am I going to have enough supporting devices in the classroom to help support students who may or may not have their own devices to use in the classroom? Do I have the space? Do I have enough plugs? All of those things come into play here, and this makes up our sixth and final criteria, and hopefully illustrates our approach to evaluating Web 2.0 tools. We wanted to make sure that we were very comprehensive in our approach, starting from the learning and starting from the learning objectives and working our way around to the teacher needs, student needs, and finally the infrastructure and hardware. So that's it. Evaluating Web 2.0 tools.